Hi, my name is Sophia Gregory and I work with Studio 205. My fiance Brian Spitz, he kind of got me into the tattoo business.
I became a tattoo artist when I got my first tattoo. Um, I went into a tattoo shop at the time. I lived in Hawaii, and I turned 21, so I decided I was going to get a tattoo. And I went in and got it. And by the time the guy was done and I paid for it, I realized I could have done a better job myself, left-handed in a mirror, and paid way less money. When I first started my journey of looking for a tattoo shop to work in, I basically just walked into the first tattoo shop I found online or in a phone book. And this was in Pensacola, Florida area. So there's like the strip, is what they call it. And on the strip, there's all the tattoo shops are right next to each other. So there was probably 10 in a small area that I went to the first day and got laughed at multiple times, told hell no. I didn't have a proper portfolio. You have to be as good or better than them on paper before you're taken seriously. And I probably walked into 50 tattoo shops before I got told yes.
So, whenever we first came about opening our own studio, it was because we were out of a job because of a flood that happened in Oklahoma. We kind of had to open our own shop or just be without work. So, we just kind of put all of our eggs in one basket and opened our shop that way. Starting up a business was extremely stressful, especially working with the health department. You had to find a place, and it had to be in correlation with all of the rules and regulations of the state of Oklahoma for tattooing. You have to pass all of your inspections. You have to apply for all of your licenses for each artist. You have to apply for a license to actually own the studio, and then you have to pass your CPR, bloodborne pathogens, and first aid.
The main transition was becoming a business owner instead of depending on somebody else's business. You had to depend on yourself to make your business. The tattoo shops that I worked in the past were already established shops. They had names. They'd been around for a decade or longer. One shop I worked in was in for 35 years before I got there, so it wasn't like I had to work hard to get people to come in the door. Also, when we opened our first tattoo shop, it wasn't on a main street. It was upstairs, like in an office area, a small office area. So from the street, you would never get a walk-in client. So that was one thing that was different. Was I went from a walk-in store, open shop that was always open to the public eye to we were basically hidden. You had to find us or know who we were. Vision for the shop. I've worked in 3 or 4 other shops prior to this. So when I opened my shop, I didn't want it to look like a tattoo shop. I didn't want you to come in and see just like flash that you could pick up off the wall or something that somebody else had. So the tattoo shop looked like a giant arcade or a toy store more than anything else. It didn't have anything tattoo related in it.
So we actually started the business just about a year before the pandemic hit. So we didn't have a lot of time to start our business up, but it was going really well in the beginning. We had a lot of support.
Before the COVID pandemic, it seemed like there was no end to business. I tattooed 12 hours a day, 12 days a week. I turned people down. I was booked out 6 months at a time at some points. Since the pandemic, I've never been booked out more than 3 weeks.
So during COVID-19, we actually moved down to a bigger location and we started our business. We got nominated Business of the Year that year. We had to close down, and that was very hard on us because we weren't making any money. A lot of small businesses were suffering. That year was definitely not a fun year. We did have a little bit of a cushion that we had from tax season. We had to use all of our tax dollars to prepay our rents to make for sure that we were going to make it through these 2 months without any pay. So when we were allowed to open after the 2-month closure, we kind of bought face masks. We made sure to wash our hands a little extra. We kept lots of hand sanitizer all over the shop. We tried to only limit how many people were even in the building. We kept the doors locked and only allowed like one person to come in for their tattoo appointment at a time.
Aside from being a tattoo artist, the tattoo business for me, after I got a couple of artists that were working along with me, gave me a little more freedom with my time and income to do things a little more things on the side that I wanted to do. I can't tattoo forever. None of us can. There's a timeline on tattoo artists. You're only good at your job for so long till your body's not good at it. So your eyes get worse, your hands get worse, you get old. Being a business owner, it changes that extremely. I've opened multiple businesses since then. This will be my third or fourth business that I've owned in the last 5 years. One did not succeed, which really was more due to the community's lack of support for that business. My original dream before becoming an artist was to be a musician, and my first job was working in a music store in my hometown. And that was always a dream of mine, was to open a store, and I never really thought that would be possible. So during the pandemic, for whatever reason, I thought it was wise to go ahead and wing it and open a guitar store. And when I did, we opened it with 12 guitars and 60 records that half of them weren't even mine. Now ultimately we got Jacob in the mix to help out, and Peyton and other people you got working for you. The goal is to not have to work as much. So that's why you have those other businesses as well. I do love tattooing, but if I could work in the music store all day long and make the same amount of money, I would. If I could just sit in the toy store all day and do what those people who have toy stores do, or antique malls, different things like that, that's all I would do. So my end game is that, and tattoo what I want when I want to. That way I can enjoy the art aspect of it.